What are you going to do about it? It's your responsibility now to go learn the skills.
You're listening to Overwhelmed Working Woman, the podcast that helps you be more calm and more productive by doing less. I'm your host, Michelle Gauthier, a former overwhelmed working woman and current life coach. On this show, we unpack the stress and pressure that today's working woman experiences. And in each episode, you'll get a strategy to bring more calm, ease, and relaxation to your life. Hi, friend. Thanks for joining today. If you've ever struggled with self-doubt, anxiety, or just feeling like you don't have the confidence you need to go after what you want, today's episode is for you. And also, I don't know anyone who hasn't occasionally struggled with self-doubt, anxiety, or a lack of confidence. So this is a good one for just about any human. My guest today is Joanne Williams, and she is a licensed mental health professional with 30 years of experience specializing in anxiety and confidence building and PTSD. I really enjoyed the conversation with her because during the conversation, the tips and ideas that she provided were really simple and actionable. So when you listen today, you will hear how anxiety and confidence are directly connected and why overcoming anxiety is the key to building true self-confidence. And then she'll also teach you about a framework called the ACT framework for retraining your brain so that you can shift from negative self-talk to thoughts that actually serve you. The conversation is full of great and interesting information. So let's dive in. Joanne, welcome to the podcast and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love your podcast. It's really informative.
Oh, good. Thank you. Same to yours. I'm going to put the link in the show notes so that everybody can
Good.
listen to yours as well. So I recently read something. It was a quote about, I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but it's something like, we feel like we have to have confidence before we do something. But in actuality, we get the confidence from doing things, like taking the
Yeah.
step. And when I read that over the weekend, it made me think about you because I knew we were going to talk about insecurity versus confidence today. So I'm excited to dig in at all things insecurity and confidence and have you teach us how to feel more confident. I'm also really interested in the fact that you help certify people to have a psychiatric service dog. So I just want to hear all about that too. But before we jump into all that, will you please just tell the listeners who you are, like what you do in general, and I don't know, maybe a little bit about your backstory of how you got into talking about confidence and anxiety and all the things that you talk about.
Oh, I'd love to. So I'll start kind of more at the beginning. I grew up in a family that was pervasive, lots of screwed up things, but pervasively anxious. And I didn't even know it. That, my mother, she obsessively organized and really rigid in her ways. And I didn't know what that was. That was kind of normal. But I really didn't understand the impact on me until later in life. And that was anxiety. And my dad was depressed. And I did, he just came home and sat in a chair and put the paper up. I didn't know even what that was. But those kind of impacts really made me want to understand more. And then I married an alcoholic, and so, I wanted to know more. And I had two children at that point. I went to therapy and I had to learn more about what this really meant in my life, what anxiety was, what depression, what alcoholism, the codependence, how my part in taking responsibility. That's why I went back to school and I got my master's degree and now has been a counselor for 30 years, counseling people mainly with the specialty of anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay. Okay. And do you work with women, men,
Mhm.
anyone?
Yeah, anyone and everyone that really wants to work on their life skills is what I call it, ways to get into what to do in situations because generally that's what bothers people. I'm good with my life, but it's just going into crowds or I can't talk in social situations. It's like specific kind of things that like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I always go for where they want to go and specific life skills, I would call it. I kind of call it, counseling to me is like going to emotional college classes that we never learned in
Yes.
a younger school or younger years.
Yes, absolutely true. So that's really helpful. Thank you for sharing your personal story with us. I just recently had another therapist on who had a lot of anxiety and came by it honestly from her family as well.
And I do think it's so neat when we take something that has been really hard for us and turn it into good by, sharing our experience with other people and helping them. So, what do you think is the relationship between anxiety and confidence?
I really think that confidence, self esteem, self worth comes from outside first. Our families share, oh, you're the most wonderful, you can do anything kind of thing to support you. And if you don't get that from the outside first in family or school or wherever religions, then you got to do it yourself. And
Mhm.
I think it leaves us, to our own devices, so to speak, about what to do. I'm anxious. I'm afraid of going here and do it. But then you haven't learned the skills to do it. And then that creates more self doubt, more, maybe even self abusing, like, and I can't, I don't know how, I'm
Mhm.
stupid, or, negative self talk.
Mhm.
So I think there's just a relationship between the two, and I don't like self-blaming of anybody at any point, parents or whatever, because at some point we all got something from our parents and we just have to
Absolutely.
figure it out. So it's like, what are you going to do about it? It's your responsibility now to go learn the skills. And that's why we do the podcast that
Yeah.
we do. Mine is Anxiety Simplified. There's books. There's so much out there right now about learning some ways to deal with this, whether it's self-worth or helping with confidence.
Yeah. I just want to pull out one thing that you said there because you mentioned this at the beginning too. When you first went to counseling before you became a
Hmm.
therapist, I had this same experience of thinking that I was going to go to a therapist and she was going to be like, "You're right. He's a jerk. Everyone's wrong. You're doing everything right." And when it was like, "Hey, here's your part in this, sister. You're creating this for yourself in your life." I
Yeah.
think that that is the first most painful step to take is just really focusing on radical responsibility of what you're
Yeah.
bringing into your own life. You said, for example, that you were married to an alcoholic. So that's a situation that, you could put a lot of blame on that other person, but you won't be able to solve it until you look at your part in it and, take responsibility. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you just said again, and I want to make sure all the listeners heard you loud and clear that no matter what happened when you were growing up or what situation you're in now, you don't have to blame anybody else or judge yourself. You're probably doing the best you could up to this point. But starting now, if you want to feel less anxious, less overwhelmed, more confident, start thinking about what you own. And the good news about that is that you own it. So you can change it. You
Yeah.
can make
Yeah.
yourself feel better. I just
Yeah.
had to give that little aside because I just could not wait to hear how I was amazing and how everyone else was messing
But
up. The therapist was
which you need that too.
well, I could get that from my
However,
mom, in my case. I don't have to
right.
go to a
Well,
therapist
good.
for that. Yeah, yeah, it is very
You
good.
know, couple of things on that. I feel like the other side of the coin to blaming is responsibility. There's always two sides. And yet you can blame and complain, like you're saying, but it doesn't do any good. The only way is taking 100% responsibility of your part
Yeah.
and, moving into it. But I'll tell you a skill that I also learned in therapy that I use every day in everything that I do, as well as in therapy, because I don't think anybody ever taught this or really talked about it. How, like you said, it's your responsibility and you can change it, but understanding that your thoughts are what starts that process
Mhm.
that create the emotion that's connected to it that then creates the behavior that you take. Because if you're talking about taking responsibility to maybe feel calmer in your life, let's say, or more confident in your life, if that starts with the thought, I'm nothing, I'm worthless, and whatever, you're not going to go to a confident,
Mhm.
calming thought, And so, re looking at becoming more aware of the thoughts that you're putting in your head that you are responsible for now, and be able to look at it in a different way that is much more supportive and much more kinder. I would
Mhm.
say really
Mhm.
to build whatever that strength or confidence that you want.
Mhm. And how do you do that? So if you realize that you're having a thought like, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at anything, or whatever would create
Hmm.
that feeling of insecurity, then what?
Hmm. Well, and I came up with this ACT blueprint that I use a lot. First, the A is just become aware. You've got to notice, you've got to recognize. And I think that's the hardest part, to tell you the truth. Start to recognize what you are actually saying to yourself. And you've probably said this a million times. So
Mhm.
that's why it's out of your awareness. And that's really the first step. But then the second step, or the C, is connect what you're telling yourself to
Mm.
what you want to feel. And if you want to feel confident, what could you be saying to yourself? And a lot of times it's absolutely the opposite of what you've been telling yourself. So that's
Mhm.
kind of a little trick. If you're already saying, I can't, well, then you got to, how can you come up with it? I can do this. I may need help. I may not know how, but I know for sure I will be able to. And you can just give yourself that feeling enough times to start go like the little engine that could, the chug, chug,
Mhm.
chug. You can just continue that pattern. And that's the T of the ACT. Train your brain. You got to retrain it to go to this new pattern, being aware, connect your thought with your feeling, really to go to, I got this. I feel this. And I think that's always the missing piece. I think we're always in our head
Mhm.
about things. Oh, this or that, that. No, get to your heart. See if you can get down to your heart and feel what you're saying. I got this. I know I can. I will. And feel it.
Mhm. Mhm. And if at first they don't feel it, is it
Mhm.
still worth it to practice that, or should they
You
try
have
something
to.
different?
You have to. There's no way about same thing, just about how do you build confidence? You don't have it. you
Mhm.
know, in the beginning, but how do you get anything? How did we get out of third grade? How do we go into multiplication? We didn't jump from addition to multiplication. We had to learn, how to add, subtract, and then do division. And then we went on and on. And this is no different. But if you expect yourself to be able to jump, I got this, I'm going to fake this confidence no matter what, people see through it. And
Mhm.
if you have to fake it for a minute, but you got to get to the feeling it. And there's only one way, and it is doing it, practicing
Mhm.
it.
Like just the practice, practice, practice. Yes.
Practice,
I
practice,
like to think
practice.
about it. For me, I was like 40 something, I don't remember, when I started doing this kind of work where I started having awareness of my thoughts and what my self-talk was. And I thought, well, it took me 41, 2 years to get here with this pattern. So now it's luckily it doesn't take that long to build a new one, but it takes some time. You
That's
can't just like flip a switch and, get going. So I love that. I love the encouragement and like the grace or kindness to give yourself to say, this might take a minute. We're
it
going to have to
does.
keep practicing this, but it's so worth it when you can start
It is.
getting your confidence from yourself and your own thoughts instead of trying to get it from your job or someone else's approval, because those are not
Mhm.
foolproof methods. In fact, they're the opposite.
No. Yeah. And, I feel like sometimes when you start a new practice like that, it's like trying to stop a locomotive on the tracks. It just runs you down. Whoop. You just
Yes.
miss it. Oh, I missed another. Oh, I missed it.
Mhm.
Oh, but I caught one. So one out of 100 you catch and change that pattern. Then it'll be you'll catch more and more of them.
Mhm.
And then you'll get caught off guard a lot less and won't get run over. You'll go, oh, yeah, because this one feels so good. I
Yeah.
like this new feeling.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good way to think about it. Okay, so if somebody out there right now is thinking, I know I have some negative self talk that I need to
Uh-huh.
change, be encouraged that it is totally possible and that you can start just by starting to notice your thoughts, connecting your thoughts and your feelings. And then is the last what is the T taking action?
Retrain your brain. You gotta keep doing it.
Yes.
That's the practice.
Train. That's
Yep,
right. That's
yep.
right. Retrain your brain. I like that. ACT. That's good. I like it. Okay, great. So another area that I know you focus on, and I noticed in the picture that we're going to be using for this podcast, you have a dog on your lap.
I do. I'm surprised I don't right now.
Yeah, I don't, my dog's under there. I just looked. Yeah,
You got
she's
one
under my
too.
desk, but she's big. She weighs 65. She can't sit
Oh
on my lap. She'd like to.
my
She
gosh.
thinks she can. Yeah.
They
But
still think they're laptops.
yes, yes, exactly. So tell me about your work with that and helping people
Okay.
get certified to have dogs and the effect you think that dogs can have on
Ah,
anxiety, confidence, or any of those things.
so huge. Well, about 13 years ago, um, I was just on a plane and I had a little dog, I didn't know about any of this that you could do that. And he was in a little crate and he was acting up, and I was just and I had panicked. And so that was the kind stewardess that came over and says, there's a program. If you wanted to get a letter from a mental health professional that states you need your dog, you could fly with him on your lap. I'm
Mm.
like, what? And there's a flying law. It's called the Air Carriers Access Act. And so ever since then, so I've been a therapist for probably 20 years at that point. I didn't even know about that law. And there's a law that Fair Housing Act, that you can have your dog in no pet housing. And so they did change the flying law 4 years ago that it has to be a psychiatric service dog. And now it's only dogs to fly. And that is the third law that covers this, called the Americans with Disabilities Act, or a lot of people hear it as the ADA. And that states if your dog recognizes, responds, and reduces psychological symptoms, they can be a psychiatric service dog. So I've been doing this now. Well, I started with, like I said, with emotional support animals, but about 13 years. And so and you have to have psychological symptoms, right? And the tasks are that they're trained to do connects the task with their diagnosis: anxiety, panic, PTSD,
Yeah.
depression. And that's what I do. And then once they get certified, they get a letter to be able to give for housing, or they give it a little ID card that has a picture of their little doggy. I'm showing a little picture that you have your dog for an ID to go into stores to show, or public places or public transportation. So I find it for a lot of my clients, again, my specialty is anxiety and PTSD, that using a dog is a game changer in their lives. They will go to the store. They will go to family gatherings because they can bring their dog, or social outings where they're like, I'm too shy. I'm going to stand in the car. I'm not going to talk to everybody. Sees the dog and that's all they want to talk about. It's like, great. Take the
Yeah.
focus off of me and put it on
Yeah.
the dog, and I'm
Yes.
happy to go. So it can be really life changing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So, what do you have to do? Do you have to do anything with the dog, or do they get the dog trained somewhere, or are a lot of these dogs? I'm thinking my dog's had no training. In fact, she could use some training on not eating off the kitchen counter, as an example. But I promise you, when any of the three of us who live in this house are sick, upset, anything is wrong, she immediately knows it. She will
I
come
know.
over. Like if I'm crying, she licks the tears off my face. Or even if I just feel upset, she'll just come and lay by me. I mean, she knows. And I don't think she's special in that way. I think she's really special, but I don't think she's
He
special
is
in that way. I feel
special.
like dogs just have a
They
sixth
do.
sense for that.
Our son dogs do. And that's the key. And, but the training, the basic behavioral trainings that stay calm has to be there, because again, they're going with you in a crowded, airport or sitting on a plane. So even our emotional support animals had to have basic training, doggy training,
Like the army.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
boot camp. But you can get that almost anywhere, PetSmart or whatever. I did the AKC, Good Citizens, and you can get some certifications for that. But truly, even for a service dog, for medical, now psychological and medical, they kind of divided them up. They're all service dogs, but psychiatric or medical for blindness, hearing impaired. No, none of these three laws have ever stated that you have to have professional trainers, or you know, be professionally trained with an organization ever. They can train their own dog. And just like you're saying, your dog already is in tune with you. That's what all of these dogs kind of are first. And then this piece that they have to recognize, though, like you said, you start crying, something's up. They come to you. It's not about you calling them over when you're anxious. They have to respond to that anxiety or panic attack or something, and then do the task, is what they do for you. Maybe they can take you through a crowd. They just kind of move you through a crowd. maybe it is they just can get on your lap and apply pressure therapy, but it's got to reduce your anxiety
Mhm.
or panic so you don't have panic attack. So they have to, and you have to know how to say that. You have to kind of, and then I do a training with people on what to say, what you never have to say, because it's one thing to get a psychiatrist, but then what do I say to the store owner? If they say things to you. And so that's a second part of this that I train people to really know how to use their dog confidently, because most people with anxiety or PTSD, they're already shell shocked in the center. If you ask me anything, they go into deer in the headlights look. Oh,
Mhm.
but they can't, their mind freezes up, they go blank. And so the training is we actually role play this. What are you going to say? Do it again. Well, how get this so you can just click this off. And so it really helps them to feel confident to be able to use their
Mhm.
dogs.
Mhm. I'm just shuddering thinking about the questions that people probably ask.
Oh, oh. And there's only two that they
Okay,
have to
what
respond
are
to,
they?
which is really good. One is your dog required because of a disability? So
Mm,
what I'm certifying is they have a psychological, psychiatric disability because of their symptoms, right? The other one is, what is the task that your dog is trained to help you with? And that is what I was just saying. My service dog is trained to recognize that my anxiety is increasing, responds by coming over, leaning into me, getting my lap to apply pressure therapy to reduce my anxiety or something like that. And you just get
mhm.
the recognize, respond, and reduce in that statement. And that's all that's required. But I got to tell you, if not, it's not really funny. But that's why I train, because you do get these wacko kind of statements. One a client told me, they said, the person asked, "What's wrong with you?"
Mhm, that's exactly what I was picturing someone say. Yep, yep, and I swear I like to think that people are not trying to be and they're just being
Right,
curious, but they don't know how to say it,
right.
but how does one respond to that?
Well, the way I train is, again, on the back of the little ID card, there is what you can only ask. What is the task my dog is trained to do? Or is my dog required because of a disability? Which one would you like me to answer?
Oh,
So
that's
I always come up with non-confrontative ways, and that's part of the training. So they know what to say, because I'm telling you, they're dying inside. They are so scared and so anxious. And the reason why they need their dog there with them. But people don't realize that this is so debilitating for so many people, and that
mhm,
their dogs truly help them. And, I feel like we give lip service to more mental health services and da 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 da, but there's still just a lot of judgment. Oh, you don't look like you need a dog. Oh, you don't look like you have panic. And it's like, public, please be kind. Don't
yeah,
judge.
yeah. I wonder what a person looks like who has panic
I
attacks. I
know.
didn't know that there was a certain look to it. Gosh.
Or what you're supposed to look like. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
telling you, when you ask them a question, watch their eyes.
yeah.
They get big, and you'll see that I can't even speak. And that's there's fight, run, or freeze in PTSD, but they may get confrontative.
Mhm,
No, what are you talking? Yeah, no, no, no. That's fight, right? Freeze up. I can't say anything, or I'm getting out of here. I'm not dealing with this.
mhm.
And so that's what the response generally is. And people do not understand that that is a response to a trauma in their past that has made it so hard for them to live life.
That's such a great way to think about it. Okay, well, I love that you do that too. That's so cool. So you're teaching the human how to
Hmm.
manage through those and then teaching them how
Hmm.
to manage with their dog, taking them in public places so that they can be out and about everywhere. Okay, tell us, these are the questions that I ask everyone on the show. So tell us, what's something that you do when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious and you want to feel better?
Wow, I found this, thank goodness, this technique called the 4 and 8 breathing technique. And I call it the 4 and 8 vagus nerve, not like Las Vegas, but VAGUS nerve. And it's our largest nerve that runs from our gut to our brain. That these medical researchers were looking for what would stimulate that vagus nerve to calm you. and within a minute to send a calming chemical into your system. Just breathing 4 count in your nose, breathing out your mouth an 8 count. And even I find it even in like 3 to 5 rounds of this, they suggested doing about 10 rounds until you feel the shift or release. And when you do, you can, it's like I don't know if you've ever taken Xanax, but it's like that feeling like,
Okay,
it's
like,
just an
I'm gonna be
immediate,
okay. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, when I come
And
out of
then,
overwhelm, my first thought is like, "Okay, I can think now."
yes,
Uh-huh.
that's what this does because that's what the thing it does. It stops overthinking. It gets you out of the overwhelm loop. I call it back to 0 or reset so you can think because you can't think and feel at the same time. If you're in an anxiety or overwhelm spiral, you're just in it. You think can't do, but
Yeah.
you can breathe to get back to 0 to go to those thoughts. Again, a new thought. What would help me right now? I got this. I've done this a million times. I'm good at so many things. I can do this. To feel it, but I use this all the time. I teach it to every single client.
Okay, that's awesome. I love it. Good. Okay, and then the second question is, what is something you do consistently to save time?
Save time. I'm gonna turn it around a little bit. I feel like I do a daily kind of spiritual practice and meditation that takes me to a place where feel like I can expand my energy field to be able to do more with less anxiety and less overwhelm. So I just have these spiritual practices. My daughter, Seraphine, coach, she's on my podcast too. And she just really teaches these more esoteric kind of ways to build self-love
Mm.
in her soul work courses, and I feel like that's what it is. It's like, how can you give more to yourself to have more capacity? As mothers, as women, as entrepreneurs, as we have to do this, that, and all these other things that we do in our lives, it's almost like I like to just build my capacity to do more with less overwhelm, and that's what I feel like
Yes.
these do.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you frame it in the way that I originally was asking, the waste of time, the thing that you're doing is avoiding overwhelm. And when,
Yeah.
like, what a waste of time that is, because at least for me, in overwhelm, nothing good is happening. I'm just kind of
Stuck.
spinning. So if you can do something ahead of time so that you save yourself all that time of overwhelm, that's awesome. So what does your morning look like? What do you do?
And I've done this for 30 years. That's the other key. You've got to do something that you really develop and love. You can't wait to do it. But I live in Florida, so I have this beautiful lanai that I sit out. There's a little canal and nature's right in front of me, birds and all these beautiful feelings, of, and then I have a candle. I like smells. So I
Uh-huh.
add that to my practice. I have this comfy place in my cushioned chair that I sit and I will listen to either, some meditation that I've created or that my daughter or some kind of practice that again brings me back to my center. It's really part of my self-care practice that when I'm done, I just go, oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to take on more. I'm ready for the day. But it's almost like draws me that I have to. It's like not brushing my teeth in the morning if I didn't do it. It's like, oh,
Okay,
I
okay, that's
have
a
to do
solid
this.
habit then. Yeah,
Yeah, I must. And
yeah,
because it just feels so good.
yeah, yes. I will sometimes think, "I don't have time to do this morning
Yes.
routine today,"
Yes.
and when I skip it, I am always sorry, and I more than make up for the time that would have taken me in
Yes.
wasted time because I'm just not in the right mindset to get
No.
things done and, to have my day. But that's so great. Okay,
So
so
what's a
tell
new thought there?
It's a great use of my time to do this right now. Yes.
Good.
So tell us where people can find you if they want to learn more about you or follow some of the things that you're doing.
Yes. Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah. So for psychiatric service dogs, I've got a website called ESA Pros. ESA is like emotional support animal, but ESAPROS.com. And there's information about whether you want an emotional support animal for housing or a psychiatric service dog to, go all places with you. And there's a 30-second pre-qualification that you can just right then and there see. And it's a screening. So you'll know if you qualify, and then people move forward with that. I do have a podcast on all the major platforms, Anxiety Simplified podcast that people can do. And same for YouTube, Anxiety Simplified podcast. And I'm on TikTok as well. So and Facebook and I'm kind of everywhere. Joanne S, like say Williams. So I'm kind of everywhere. And I really intend to do more with courses now on confidence building coming up in the fall. So there'll be more I'll be coming out with as well.
Okay, so if people are following you on Instagram, for example, will they see that when it comes out?
Yes.
It's available? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. I will link all of that in the show notes. And then what about your new magazine article? I'll link that
Oh,
as well. How about that?
yes. Oh, I'm so proud of this. I'm telling you, I really have never been a writer, but I sent in an article they were looking for articles on overcoming anxiety, and I sent in 5 strategies, and it got accepted at this magazine called Medium, like in the middle, not small, but medium. And it's really this really nice magazine that really goes into human interest stories and kind of strategies in straightforward, kind of short ways. And I've loved it. So I got accepted for it. And I actually got an interview she wants to add a video interview to it as well this week. So I'll be doing that, but you can find it on
Yes,
medium.com. And
and I have
again,
the
it's,
link because I saw the
oh,
article.
yes,
So I will put it in
yes,
show notes as well.
please.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job getting the word out there about anxiety and opportunities like having a dog to help you with that and helping people of all kinds have more confidence. I just love what you're putting out into the world. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. If you want to learn more about my work, head over to my website at michellegothier.com. See you next week.